we have a combination of functions where we're going to be asked, we're given two functions, we're asked to add them and then multiply them. Okay, so I'll use red for the f function, use blue for the g function to just kind of differentiate a bit, and then we're wanting to find the domain. Okay, whenever we have a domain question, remember that's always about what x values we can use. We have two problems with the domain, two things we have to take out of the domain, either division by 0, so we'll check and see if that's an issue, or the one other thing we can't have is negatives inside of a square root. So we'll look at both of those when we get to that part. So first, addition. F of x is simply, so we're going to, well, let's do it this way. F of x plus g of x. So we write the f of x function first, x plus 5, and then we're going to add, so that's kind of how we're combining the two functions, the g function, and I'll put it within parentheses, x minus 1. The plus distributes through, I guess, if you want. There's nothing to multiply, so our final answer for this is going to be square root of x plus 5. It's stuck inside the square root, so that's all we can do with it, plus 4x minus 1. That's it. So that is our function, square root x plus 5. And then we have to get out of that, out of the square root. We add 4x, and then we subtract 1. Okay, so there's our function. How about the domain? And the only thing we have to worry about here, there is no rational, there's no division by 0 possible. It's just we need to look inside the square root. X plus 5 has to be non-negative. X plus 5 has to be greater than or equal to 0. You could do it either way, but this is what it needs to be. It needs to be positive. So we can subtract 5 from both sides. We solve for x. This gives us x greater than or equal to negative 5. So x itself can be negative, but the result of this cannot be a negative number. So let's do a number line. And our boundary point is negative 5. We can put that anywhere we want. Negative 5, let's do this, and actually, let's do this. I like to label the left end as negative infinity, the right end is positive infinity, and we'll just use another color. Negative 5 is included, so let's make that a solid dot there, and then x has to be bigger than that. X has to be to the right, so we shade this way. So that tells us our interval is going from negative 5, including negative 5, so that tells us it's a bracket, all the way to infinity, parentheses, and we put a comma there. See, by lining it up, we will always get this interval correct. So bracket and a parentheses, bracket and a parentheses, there we go, negative 5, and the other one is positive infinity. Let's choose the right one. There we go, we got it right. We come into here now, f times g. So a little different way of combining it. We'll stick with f as being f of x times g of x. So f of x is square root of x plus 5. We're going to multiply that times 4x minus 1. Now we can't do anything as far as foiling or anything, as x plus 5 is inside the house, inside the radical, can't get it out. We just multiply. This is all there is to it. We are done. So let's go ahead and put that in. And we've got our square root, x plus 5. We get out of the house, and then we're going to multiply. We can just put a parentheses, 4x minus 1 parentheses. So that's implied multiplication because there's no multiplication symbol here. So we're left with that. And what we see here is that the same thing is inside here, x plus 5. The domain is going to be exactly the same thing. We could go through all of this a second time, but why? We've already done it. It's exactly the same domain. And so we just enter it in as, come here, bracket in parentheses, -5, infinity. So those got to match. We're all good. So that is question number 6.